Service robots, the impossible expectations placed on cleaners. Welcome to the Cleaning Lady podcast, the podcast where I spill the beans from behind the scenes of running a domestic cleaning business. Today's episode is about something that actually happened this morning, and it's tipped me over the edge a little bit, if I'm honest. One of my cleaners was knocked off of her bike on the way to a client's house. So because she was knocked off her bike, she was 20 minutes late. And because she was 20 minutes late, the client decided to cancel all future cleans. She actually called my cleaner unreliable, which is absolutely ridiculous because she's not unreliable, actually, and neither is our service. She's actually never missed a clean. But what really got to me was she said that I was guilt tripping her when actually all I was doing was telling her the reason that the cleaner was late. And she just said that there was no accountability and she was going to look elsewhere. And honestly, that really hit a nerve because this situation really just highlighted something that I think is happening more and more in the service industry. It just seems to me that people are starting to expect human beings to operate like robots, like little Amazon delivery trackers. And I don't think people realise how impossible that can be when you're cleaning people's houses. You know, you're going from house to house. So I really want to explain something that people probably don't realise. You're probably a domestic cleaner listening to this podcast. And as you know, we don't work in one building all day. We're travelling from house to house. So if you've got, 3 or 4 houses in a day, between those houses, you're travelling. You might be driving and trying to find a parking space. You might be cycling or walking. You might be getting a bus. But we can't always be there on time. Because what if a house overruns because the client wants to chat, or the house is a bit dirtier and it needs a bit more time? Sometimes the bus is late, or maybe the previous client asks you to do like just one extra thing. And then suddenly the entire day shifts by 15 or 20 minutes. As I mentioned in an earlier episode, before the pandemic, most people were at work. If a cleaner arrived at 10:15 instead of 10 o'clock, it wasn't a problem. No one was home. There was so much more flexibility. And as long as the clean was completed on the agreed day, people just, people didn't care. They got home at 6 o'clock in the evening, find their house was clean. It was great. And actually, half the time, they never even knew the name of their cleaner. But post-pandemic, everything changed. And now, of course, everyone's working from home. So they're having their online meetings and their Zoom calls. They're also managing their entire day hour by hour. And because of that, arrival times have become such a source of stress and frustration, for the clients. But I do understand that people want specific times. But what most people don't see is that domestic cleaning still operates the same way as it always has done behind the scenes. Pre-pandemic, cleaners are still travelling from house to house. We still have traffic. Buses are still late. Previous cleans still overrun sometimes, and human beings need breaks. But all those normal human delays are happening under a microscope, it seems, because everyone is home to notice every minute. But now those normal human delays are happening under a microscope because everyone is home. And I think that shift has massively increased pressure on cleaners and small cleaning businesses. It seems to me that clients expect cleaners to arrive with the precision of a courier company. But you can't run a multi-cleaner domestic agency as though it's a logistics company and maintain your mental health. It's impossible. Those two things don't match. The thing that really upset me today was when the client called my cleaner unreliable, because we've never actually let this client down. The clean has always been carried out on a Thursday morning, and the clean today was carried out on a Thursday morning. The client has actually never missed a clean. Her cleaner has only ever had one sick day. And I covered that. Let that sink in. One sick day. And even on the morning that she was knocked off her bike, she still went to do the clean. She was 20 minutes late. So it wasn't like she cancelled. She was 20 minutes late. And somehow that's unreliable. And that has really annoyed me because I did cover for that cleaner when she was ill. That one sick day I covered. I was already cleaning 8 hours that day because I had another person on holiday and I was covering her jobs. I ended up doing 10 hours cleaning that day, and then I had to go home and do all my admin as well. I didn't complain because, I like cleaning, and the client was grateful. But it just seems like she's forgotten when I have been there and stepped in. So when did we stop seeing effort? And when did past reliability stop counting? Because from my perspective, someone getting up after an accident and still turning up to work sounds pretty reliable to me. And it really upset me how quickly someone can just stop being seen as a human being and start being viewed as like a service robot. We're human. We are human. And I think clients have actually lost a bit of empathy for the people that are delivering these services because, cleaners, a lot of them are mums. We're exhausted and physically worn out. Some are struggling financially and we're rushing from house to house, barely stopping all day. And we're not like this giant corporation with automated systems and instant responses. But most cleaning businesses are tiny, and mine certainly is. And behind the scenes, it's usually just one stressed business owner trying to juggle everything. Cleaners, the clients, sickness, schedules, cover cleaners, cancellations, and complaints. And a lot of small business owners are just absolutely exhausted because we're doing everything. And it's just another thing that you have to deal with. I actually spent the day quite tearful today, all because of what that client said about us being unreliable and that I was guilt tripping her. So I just wonder where I go from here because I can't go on like this with so many clients constantly complaining about the time because it never used to be like that because everyone was at work. So I think the only thing I can do now is just to give people a morning slot or an afternoon slot to save my mental health, actually. If it doesn't work for the client, then we're not the right company for them. I just feel that customers have become much less forgiving generally. There's less understanding, less ability to just say, okay, someone's had a bad morning. But now they just jump to, this is unacceptable and I'm cancelling the service. And it's funny because it just seems like, I don't know, one late arrival is remembered and judged more than years of reliability, like it has, like in this case. Anyway, maybe this episode was a little bit of a rant today, but I think, honestly, anyone working in hospitality or care work, cleaning, retail, any customer facing job, I think they'll understand what I mean. But I think that we just need to remind ourselves that people that are providing a service, they are a person and they're not a robot. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Cleaning Lady podcast. I promise not to rant next week. Well, unless something awful happens this week. If something awful happens, then I'll be ranting, but hopefully not. Have a good week and happy cleaning.